and welcome back to the Crochet Crowd and of course my friends at AllFreeCrochet.com. Today we're going to work on this newborn hat, and this is a 17-inch diameter, so it's actually a little bit bigger than a newborn size, and a 13-inch hat size is about a preemie, so this is a 17. So this is actually probably a good idea. You know, a lot of the newborn mothers don't like to put new products like this onto a baby's head until they've gotten a little bit established in their months anyway. So this is a really great idea. I'm using the James C. Brett material today. James C. is just such a wonderful yarn. It is extremely plush. I love how it changes color slowly, and because of that you end up with a really cool effect of the color change. Also in this pattern we have a permanent fold that has actually been crocheted into position, and if you do not want the permanent fold, then what you just got to do is at that point of the tutorial just ignore what I'm saying and just continue along. And by putting the permanent fold, it just naturally wants to fold. See how it's flicking? Because of the way that we've done so. Okay, so we're using the James C. Brett Chunky Marble yarn, and we're also using a size J hook today in order to create this. And let's get started on this fabulous tutorial brought to you by the Crochet Crowd and of course my friends at AllFreeCrochet.com. Okay, to get started today we're just using the James C. Brett, as I said, using a size J hook. I should tell you that in this pattern, if you reduce your size quality of yarn to something economy or even thinner like a Bernat Super Saver or anything, you will get a smaller hat. Also reduce the size of your hook. This is a J. If you go G or even E, any sizes lower, you will get a smaller hat, of course, and if you obviously increase the thickness and increase the hook, you will get a bigger hat as well. So let's start off with your slip knot, everybody. Just wrap it around your finger twice. This is the back and this is the forward. This is the back of your hand. So take that one over the forward, and now this one tuck up and over and slip in your hook. There's slower tutorials available on my website if you need that. Okay, or on this YouTube channel. So let's begin, and we're going to chain 2. This does not count as 1. So grabbing the material, pulling it through. So that's 1, and grabbing the material again, and that's 2. Now what we want to do now is that we want to crochet around the centerpiece in order to start at the top of the hat. So this is already considered one of the half double crochets that we're already going to be working on. So grabbing the material and just going into the very starting stitch that you started with, grabbing the material again, and then pulling through all 3. So you see how there's 3? Grab the material and pull through all 3. Now the first one, when you chained the 2, that counts as one of them. This is number 2. So you want a total of 12 going into that same center stitch. Okay, so I call it the center now because we are going to work around it. Okay, so that was 3, 4. Okay, so now what we need to concentrate as we're going around, this is number 4, this is the straggler, so we want to kind of lock that into position. So we're just going to go into the center point, the center stitch, just lay down that straggler on top, just like so, because every time you do that, it's just going to lock it into position. So that was 5, 6, okay, make sure that straggler is in, 7, going in again, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and you may have to move and shift everything around if it gets too tight. This will be 11 and 12 right now. So now, because we've been burying the straggler, so you don't see it, see there? We've been burying that along. We can safely now cut that, but what I want to do is I want to do a slip stitch. So what we need to do is, this is where we chained up the 2 to begin with, so we just want to slip it in like it's in the chain area. Okay, just like so. Grabbing the material, pull through and through, and that is called a slip stitch. Okay, you'll see that in the pattern. And what I want you to do now is turn the pattern around, and now the material is now finished that you have on the other side is actually going to be facing you on this side. Okay, so that's what you want to do. So if you go to start your next round and the material is coming out of the back, it's wrong. Okay, so turn it around and let's begin our next step. But let's get rid of this straggler first because we safely buried it. Grab your fancy dancy scissors and trim it. And now we're ready to start up your next rotation. Let's begin our next rotation. So we want to chain up 2. We're going to do that every time we go through this pattern. Okay, so chaining up 2. So let's go. So 1 and 2, Okay, so now we want to jump to the very next stitch available on this particular piece. Okay, so just grabbing the material and going into the very next stitch, grabbing the material again and pulling through all three. That's a half double crochet. Okay, and we want to do that twice into the same stitch. So now that you've done it, you can see that that stitch is being pulled out. Okay, so do it again. So you want to put 2 into each one going around the rotation. Okay, so just come to your next one. So that one get 2 as well. So come to the next one. Okay, that one's getting your 2. Come to the next one. Okay, that one got 2. Next one. One and 2. Okay, so the next one. 1 and 2. Okay, the next one. 1 and going into again for 2. Okay, going into the next one. 1 and 2. Going into the next one. 1 and 2. Okay, and now this is where you got to make sure you don't mess up. I want you are actually done now. See how this is stretching over? It's only one string. That is where you This is actually a filming correction. We've just actually finished this tutorial, and the size of the hat difference is actually massive in comparison to the prototype that I have done. Okay, and the reason for it is that where I was slip stitching actually made a huge difference, and I told you that we were supposed to be skipping over a certain section and bringing it together, and by doing that we've actually made the hat a lot smaller. So I want to do this film correction in the middle of this tutorial so that you don't do the same mistake, because it's going to totally alter the size of your project. So we were just I'm just going to show you once exactly where I told you. So I told you, let's keep going here. I'm just going to finish up. 1. So this is just a noticing after the fact. It's hard to tell during this entire project if it's going to be too small or not. And I told you that this here, the last one, is part of this. Okay? In actual fact, I lied to you. So what we need to do is that we need to go into that one as well. Okay, so I told you during the tutorials to jump that, but it's really not. Don't jump it, because what happens is that the 2 that you've just not taken into account there makes a huge difference, because as we work our way around in a circle, that we are increasing considerably, and by missing the 2 even right at the start here, it makes a huge impact. So again, once you get your 2 down here, then you can just join them together in the actual chain. Okay, so sorry about that, everybody. Just wanted to clarify that so that you're not disappointed with this project. Take care, everybody. What you need to do, you don't want to go in there. You actually want to now slip stitch it to the very top of the chain area. Okay, so make sure you don't go into the gap, everybody. Don't go in there. Make sure you go right into a chain itself. If you go into the gap, it's going to make the material separate. So pull through, and now turn again. So now the material is coming back towards you. And that's your next rotation. Now your next rotation, I call it the 2-to-1 ratio, and now let's chain up 2 again, so 1 and 2. So in the very next stitch that you have available, okay, so it's not down here where this chain is finishing, it's actually the next one over, so just going in. So we want to put 2 half double crochets into that very same stitch, okay, and now the very next one, stitch available on the line, gets 1. Okay, so that's why I call it my 2-to-1 ratio. So the next one gets 2. Okay, and the next one gets 1. Okay, so the next one gets 2. Okay, and the next one gets 1. Okay, the next one gets 2. The next one gets 1. Okay, and this one gets 2. Next one gets 1. 2. 1. This one gets 2. So this is my 2-to-1 ratio, everybody. So 1, 2. This yarn I'm using is extremely soft. I absolutely love this yarn. So that was 1. So last one. So if you ever lose count, you can just pull it apart and you can see how these two are jumping out. Okay, so that's 1, and then this one is 2. Okay, so we just have to watch where we're finished. Okay, and what we are is that we are actually technically done. Okay, so you don't want to go into this piece here. You want to just go slip it in. Okay, so just grab the material and pull through. And how did I know that? Because this one has 2 here, and this here, if you notice, was where we chained up 2, and then it jumps to 2. So if you looked at 2, 1, 2, it actually makes a total bunch of sense. So let's turn the material again, and that is your next rotation done. Okay, moving right along, we're just going to chain up 2. So 1 and 2, and now this is going to be our 2-to-2 ratio. So the very next stitch available, so it's not the one coming out of this area, it's right here, just going in for 2. So 1 and 2, and now the next 2 on here will get only 1. So 1 and 1. Okay, so that equals 2. So the next one will get 2 into it. Okay, so that was 2, and the next 2 on the line will get only 1. Okay, so the next one is getting 2. Okay, and so the next one gets 1 and 1. The next one will get 2. Okay, so 1, 1. The next one will get 2. Okay, the next one will get 1, 1, and 1. And this one gets 2, 1, and 2. Okay, so we get 1, 1. The next one will get 2. Oops. Try that one again. That was 2, and the next one will get 1 and 1. The next one will get 2. Okay, the next one is 1, 1. And this is the last one. See how this one will stretch over into here? So this is the very last one here, and this is just going to be a 2. Okay, so 1 and 2. And we determined that because we were just following along with the pattern. So even if you've screwed up the size at this point, just follow it along. Just make sure that you do your slip stitch properly. Okay, so it's slipping in your hook right into the chain itself, so that it's not the gap. Okay, pull through and through. And now turn your material around, and we'll begin our next rotation.